Hello, everybody. This is Adamo. It has been a couple of really sad days for Nigeria and Nigerians, especially those who lost their lives, who were going just about doing their own thing during the herdsmen-farmers clash that happened over the weekend. And the purpose of this podcast is to describe why government is not your friend, why the reason that we're having these ethnic clash, deadly ethnic clashes, is attributed to government. So that's what I intend to explain, with the hope that we will take the hint and use the information as you wish. If we do not solve the problem at its root cause, we will never solve the problem. Violence in Nigeria is attributed. Majority of the violence is attributed to government. So government is not your friend. And when someone is not your friend, when someone is against you, you need to be careful. Right? And that is that warning that I intend to pass. So how is government not your friend? And how is government the cause of the ethnic violence in Nigeria? So government is itself violence. So that is why government is not your friend. I will assume that you do not like violence. No, let me put it this way. I will assume you do not like violence done on you. So I do not think you would like if I cut your leg or just harm you, right? Would you like that? I will take the assumption that you won't. You will not like any violence done onto you. So, well, government is violence, and Nigeria having a government through the 1999 Constitution, you living in that territory, that violence is done on you every second of your life that you are there. Now, the only exception are those who are doing the violence. So those in government power, they are the one executing the violence. So our presidents, governors, anyone holding public office are the one executing the violence. So they are exempted. They are just the executioners of the violence. And I will explain to you why government is violence. So, I hope I made some sense. That government is not your friend because government is violence, and violence is not your friend to anyone. Right? You can't have a friend that constantly inflicts violence on you. That's not even a friend. That is someone that you need to get rid of immediately. You should allow no one ever in your life to continue to hurt you. So if you accept that premise, Now listen to this. Government is violence because it violates property. A quick example that is kind of popular and I think you get it. If you find oil in your land, it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the government. That is a violation of property. Before government ever existed, our government, people existed, people inhabited that land. But when government came, they decreed that every oil, natural resources, belongs to them. So they violated the property of the people. So that's violence. Another example, So when you find oil or natural resources or anything, gold in your land, it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the government, whether you like it or not, whether you approve of it or not. So if I don't approve of it and they come and take my gold in my land, that is a violation of my property. So, what other example? Taxation, taxes. So Nigeria operates with the VAT, value added tax. What that means is when something is imported, for example, let me not make it that way. That is just tariffs. So anything you buy, taxes are added to it. So if you go to the store and buy, and that's the case. In Nigeria, most of the things we buy are outside the scope of government, so they are not even taxed. But if you do buy things that are taxed, the taxes are already added to the product. So when you buy, you are paying for the product and the tax. Or like, for example, in the US, you pay the tax at the point of sale. So when I go to the store to buy something, I pay the tax right there. So that is the value added tax. So when the government taxes you, right, it is saying that they think you should pay certain amount of money out of your certain amount of money. That is whether you like it or not. That is the key ingredient in this discussion, right? So whether you like it or not, we are going to make you to pay a certain amount of your money when you buy this product. That is a violation of property. No one should have claim on your anything. Just like right now, I can come and say, hey, you know what? Anytime you make money, I'm going to take 50% of it or 10% of it. You say, why are you entitled to my own property? I say, oh, well, hey, I'm superior to you. I mean, you could imagine how the argument will go, right? I'm superior to you. That is what that is. Government comes and say, we are going to tax you. You ask why? Because we are superior than you. That is it. That is the argument. There is no any logical argument. It's just an issue of them placing themselves above you. So that makes taxes a violation of property. Now, if you want to pay taxes, that's fine. You can pay. But the problem is, when taxes are passed, they include those that do not want to pay. So that makes it a violation of property. So that's how government is violence. So could you imagine any government law violates one person, at least. It is very difficult to have agreement on anything with anyone. How many of us vote? 50% of the people eligible voters, half of the eligible voters votes. And even those that vote, they divide their votes between candidates. So we never agree on one single at a time. It's very difficult. So anytime government makes a law, they affect those that do not want to, right? And that makes it a violation of property. So, and that's violence. If I come to you, I say, give me your stuff, or I kill you, basically. I force you to give me, that is a violation of property, and that is violence, right? So that is why government is violence, and that's why government is not your friend. Now, how does that relate to the crisis, to the clashes in Nigeria? You remember, I think, is either an old saying or is in the Bible or in the Quran or Hadith somewhere, violence begets violence. That's basically it. That's what's happening in Nigeria. Violence, when you have a system that exists based on violence, it will create violence. That is the summary of what is happening. And if you doubt violence can generate anything other than violence, check anything violence. Check anything violent. For example, check slavery. Slavery, in many occasions, resulted in death of the slaves. Some had tried to escape. You have to apply violence. And some slaves would escape and then come back and kill their slave owners. I used to know a friend. He has about 4 other siblings, and their father beat the hell out of them. The small mistake they made. Well, guess what will happen? Guess what happened, rather? They would gang up on their father and beat him. Violence begets violence. There is no way you would organize your system based on violence that violence will occur. That is really the summary. I don't need to go explaining, how the Land Use Act, how anything you think of government, our public education, the roads, the universities, all of these systems are based on violence. They are not based on freedom. And so, to solve this problem is to remove the violence, right? To remove the violence. In practical terms, that means to take away government powers. When government can force you to give up your oil in your land, violence is removed. Freedom, free choice, free will would exist. Then things will begin to get better. When slavery was ended, then there was no violence of slavery. Slaves trying to kill their slave holders, and vice versa, right? Because there was no slavery. Unfortunately, the friend I knew, their father continued to beat them, really, until they left. When we left Kadu village. So that's what that means. That's what the solution is. We have to take away the powers of government. The best is zero. No violence. No government violence, right? We take away all powers from the government and give it to ourselves. So if you find oil in your land, it's your own. You are responsible for your children's education, and so on and so forth. But of course, that is not possible at one strike. So we need to start taking away the violence in the system. As take away the violence of the system, everything kind of starts getting better. Not only would you reduce violence, but you increase prosperity. Because no peace, no wealth. That is a no-brainer. Everybody should know that where there is no peace, there is no success, right? So that's basically how economics works. Things work. They work based on either violence or no violence. You should always choose the no violence. I hope you get a value in what I've said. If you do, please share this message and come back again. You get lots of this. Thank you very much.